Good morning, everyone. I'm Kevin Allen, and I'm joined by my usual broadcast partner, former NHL defenseman Tom Laidlaw, who played 11 seasons for the New York Rangers and Los Angeles Kings. This is the Laidlaw and Allen Report. Come to you twice a week to talk all things hockey. And Tom, today we're going to talk about the start of free agent signing period, otherwise known as Christmas in July.
I remember as an agent, that was the day I spent the whole day in the office, like from 7 in the morning till like 10 o'clock at night and stuff.
Yeah, I have a little car that just ran past me. My grandson is here.
What's he driving today?
Driving a fire truck.
Oh, nice. There you go. Good. My father's a firefighter. Good.
Electronically controlled.
That's good.
So. Anyway, big day, Tom. I just said before we went on the air, a lot of people did their shopping early for Christmas in July.
Yep.
The Philadelphia Flyers, of course, have added in order here Ryan Ellis, Rasmus Ristolainen, and now Keith Yandel. And they got Keith Yandel, who's one of the better power play specialists, I would say, still today. Yep. And they got him for a rookie salary of $900,000 because he was a buyout guy.
That's right. Yeah.
So, they got him for next to nothing. They also acquired Cam Atkinson from Columbus for Voracek. And, Voracek's still productive, but I just think Atkinson does more for you. He kills some penalties, and I think he's a little better goal scorer than Voracek is. And, that's always been not really a debate in hockey, because most everyone agrees that a goal scorer is more important than a setup man, which seems kind of silly because you need the setup man for the goal scorer. But there aren't as many pure goal scorers, because that's an art in itself, than there are setup guys.
No, I agree. Yeah, it's a special gift to be a goal scorer. Yeah, I wonder what is Columbus thinking though. I mean, they're kind of regrouping, you would think, but then they add a player of Voracek's age. I know he played there before. Maybe he's popular amongst the fans or whatever. But I would have thought that they wouldn't have gone for an older guy at the stage where they're at in their development. But
but I do think I think winning back the fans is important right now.
Yeah, true. You lose Seth Jones, and true.
Right. So, and then Chicago Blackhawks, getting Marc-Andre Fleury yesterday. He hasn't said for sure that he's going to go. There's some talk that perhaps he might retire. So obviously that, if he doesn't go there, then it's obviously lost its significance. But, getting Fleury in Chicago on top of Taves coming back, which is really a feel-good story in my opinion. And then getting Seth Jones, getting rid of Duncan Keith's, salary. And then they picked up yesterday Tyler Johnson in another one of those either brilliant moves by Tampa. But I think Tyler Johnson can actually help Chicago.
Right. So they're taking on Seabrook's contract. Is he got just 1 year left? Is that the reason? Whereas Johnson had 3 years left?
But Seabrook's going on long-term IR.
Yeah, exactly. But that money. Oh, that's right. So that money won't go against their cap. Yes,
that's right. Yep. So they're getting a real bonus out of that. So they get rid of Tyler Johnson, which gets them below the cap by probably $5 or $6 million. And now they're going to have Seabrook to put on long-term IR, and they'll be able to replace this money.
So Tampa gets to put another guy on long-term IR.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good move.
Yeah. Well, and just, people said that Breezeball was out of tricks up his sleeve. Well, that's apparently not true. He had one more. So
that is pretty good. I like that. That is good. Really good. Okay. I have a little topic here we got to touch on. Susan Brooks brings it up here. Vegas did Fleury dirty. The player that made your franchise legitimate from day one deserved better. Should not have found out about the trade on Twitter. Well, true. We're hearing that he did not get notified by the team. His agent, one of your best friends, Alan Walsh, tweeted out that he had not been notified. So he stirred the pot right away, which is usual.
Well,
you like him just as much as Barry Trotz. You like him as much as Barry Trotz, right? Alan Walsh?
No, but I respect the fact that some of his issues are some of my issues. Like he's real big on the concussion issue. And, he grinds away at it all the time to the point where I think people are trying to tired of hearing it. But, you got to keep talking about it. If you don't, keep it in the public eye, it just gets kind of
I
swept
just
under the
don't. I
rug.
just don't like when he makes comments like he made yesterday. That's a pick up the phone and call the GM. You have a problem with him.
Well, McCrimmon did come out yesterday and admit that was actually true,
Right.
but he said it was misleading because they had been well aware that they were talking to Chicago. They had been transparent on that, and he said it wasn't his intention to slight Marc-Andre Fleury. However, there is a pattern there of, they just at the end of the line, they don't seem to get good, clean departures with their players.
Right.
Everyone's a little unhappy, and that's goes with the turf. But like no one's ever happy when they get moved out, or at least.
So
most of the time.
is Fleury really thinking of retiring, or is he negotiating for a new contract?
Oh, I think he's thinking about retiring.
Really?
You don't
think it's a little bit of a ploy?
I don't know. Does he want? I didn't know he wanted a new contract.
Well, why wouldn't he? If he's got an opportunity like this, if a team like Chicago trades for you, you've got an opportunity to say, "Well, I'm not going to play unless I get a new contract," right?
Well, I guess that's possible, but he's talked about retirement before, so I just assumed
okay.
that was part of it. He had said before that he was gonna that this could be his last contract, but you could be right. I mean,
you just win the Vezina, right? You get traded to a team that looks like they're going for it here with Chicago, getting Seth Jones, all the moves that they're making. So interesting.
Yeah, I mean that makes perfect sense what you're saying. And he certainly wouldn't be the first one to use his newfound, but a lot of people have speculated on social media that perhaps he wants to go to Pittsburgh. That's he was very comfortable there, and I tell you what, and I wrote this in a column, and by the way, I agree with Susan on this. I think he deserved better going out the door. I mean, even if they did tell him that they were talking to Chicago, you should have called them, because what McCrimmon said is, well, we were busy trying to make that trade call. Well, come on, someone can make that trade call for you, and you can get on the phone with
he got somebody else. You got to say, that should be. I get the sense of McCrimmon from what I hear, and I've never dealt with the man. There's a little bit of arrogance there. A lot of people are saying. A lot of other people that are dealing with him are not too happy with the way he handles things. But
yeah, no, I've heard that as well. But just that issue aside, what I would hope is if Fleury does say, this is not really what I had in mind. I either want to play with Vegas or maybe go back. I've got my family. I hate to uproot them again, but I wouldn't mind going back to Pittsburgh, where I lived for many, many years. I would hope Chicago says, go ahead and cut your own deal as long as they're paying all your salary. I mean, we don't want to get stuck with any of your salary, and then just let them kind of go. I think he's kind of deserving of that at this point in his career.
You are a sentimental guy for the National Hockey.
37 years old, and
I don't think so. I disagree with you. There's no. I'm not. If I'm Chicago, I'm going to let him make his own deal. I mean, I just think I know they think that he may retire. That's the story, that Chicago knew that going into the trade. But,
they did know that. They informed him.
But I'm thinking, okay, who else do they have for a goaltender there in Chicago?
Of the same you guys they had last year. Yeah.
So, I mean, you go get Seth Jones. You get, like you said, you get Taves coming back. So those are two all-star players right there. Now you add Fleury as a goaltender. To me, I'm saying, well, are we going for it in Chicago? I mean, we're a lot better team now than we were last year. So I just don't see how they're just going to let Fleury go, because he's a good guy.
Well, I mean, then he'll just retire.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you didn't have him on Monday, and then you had him on Tuesday, and then he says, I'm just going to retire. And I will say this, and him too. I'm pretty sure you do anyway. If Marc-Andre Fleury says he's going to retire, he's going to retire. He's not going to be one of those guys that is.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know. So, I think it's a contract myself. Who knows? But
I mean, it certainly could be. I mean, he could be trying to get a good contract, but I mean, because he had to be on Fleury's original list.
Right.
So, or else they couldn't have traded him.
Right. So they're sitting there saying, I just don't see, for me, if I'm Chicago, I'm going to say, I'm going to trade for a guy that may retire, a player of his stature. Maybe we're going to get him, maybe we're not. Like, are they not thinking that, okay, he's talking like that, and he's saying to himself, well, he's saying out publicly, I may retire as well. But now he has a Vezina year last year, and he's going to retire and go to Chicago, with a great city to play in, and looking like they're really an improved hockey team. And I got to believe, say, well,
he might play.
Yeah.
Yeah, he might play.
He can go ahead and play.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility. Sometimes people actually do what they say they do. He may be just talking to his wife and say, well, what do you want to do? And he's saying, I'd probably like to play another year.
Right.
And she just, she would say either, I think we can make it work, or I don't even know how old his kids are. Do you know?
I don't. I would assume they're a little bit older, but yeah. Again, even if he comes back, he does get a new contract. He's doing what he's saying he's going to do. He's not going against his word. Right now, he's saying, "I'm just going to sit back and figure out whether I want to play."
Which is what he said before. Here's the thing that I think is true, which is what he said before he knew he was going to be traded.
Right.
He just said, I don't know how much longer I'm going to play, and and he may I think it's definitely possible, maybe even likely, that he'll come back and say he'll play in Chicago.
Yeah, so I agree. Yeah.
So, I mean, he is coming off a pretty good year, and I think, maybe he's a pretty proud guy. Won't he want to prove something to Vegas?
Yeah. Well, he won the Vezina. That's proven something right there. But yeah, I mean, I would be. Listen, I think he's handled it very well publicly, but I'd be a little bit bitter if I was him. More with the Robin Lehner thing, where I'm the goaltender.
You'd be a lot more bitter if you were him.
What's that?
You'd be a lot more bitter if you were him.
Oh yeah, totally. I would hope I would handle it. I would hope I would handle it as well as he does publicly. I think he's done a fantastic job, but inside he's got to be saying to himself, "Hey, listen, you made me the face of the franchise. I didn't do anything wrong. It wasn't like I played bad. Now you bring in Robin Lehner and you do everything you can to make him the number one goaltender, and I go win the Vezina instead. I mean, that's pretty good there, but still, yeah."
Yeah, if I had to guess, I'd guess there's
recording in progress.
The
you got a little recording going on? You taping us?
I don't know.
All right, Ron Greshner's back here. Hold on here. Wait a minute. This reminds me of the Laidlaw Marcel Dion trade. Exactly. That was a blockbuster.
Leave it to Ron to put it in perspective. Yeah. Well, what's interesting about the trade, though, we're kind of bearing the lead here because, Marc-Andre Fleury is always interesting, but I do think he's going to play in Chicago. That's just my hunch.
Yeah, I think he's going to get a 2-year extension. So I think he's going to be there for 3 years. He's going to get another contract. Come back.
Yeah, he might. I mean, it's play to 40. I mean, Ovechkin said he's going to play to 40, and he's actually got a shot of at Gretzky's record because of that.
Yeah, definitely. I'm surprised to see the 5 years there. Wow.
Yeah. He'll be beyond his 40th birthday. And here's what I think too. I think before we get on to back to Vegas, so but I think that won't be the end of his career when that 5 years up. I think he's gonna go KHL and play 2 or 3 more years.
Oh, okay.
Just like Pavel Datsyuk. Pavel Datsyuk is talking about hanging it up this year, by the way. He's put on Instagram or Facebook or someplace that he's contemplating he'll know more by the 1st of August.
I'm just sure you know this trivia question, but what's his nickname?
Who, the Magic Man?
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
I like that.
Yeah, that is a good one. Yeah. So people think that the reason Vegas needed to move Fleury now is they're going to get Eichel. One of your all-time favorite players. Finally goes.
I'm just trying to give him a little.
I think your list goes Wayne Gretzky, Gordie Howe, then Jack Eichel. So
I'm just trying to give him a little guidance to try to get more out of his career. That's all. Same thing with Matt Duchene.
Yeah.
Then I know we're bouncing around a little bit here, but Brendan Dillon from Washington to Winnipeg and Nate Schmidt from Vancouver to Winnipeg. So 2 pretty good defensemen, I think, for Winnipeg there, right? Yeah,
I mean, I stopped at Philadelphia and talking about the early shoppers, but I had Winnipeg second on my list. So they got Brendan Dillon, who's kind of an edge to him. I like he's hard to play against, and I like Nate Schmidt a lot. I don't think it worked out for him in Vancouver. I think he was so disappointed by getting traded. I think it let him.
Susan's butter today. Susan is butter. She's on a roll.
Yeah.
Michael's going to play golf for
not believe Robin Leonard, I guess. So, but like Nate Schmidt, I think he let that trade get to him because he just wasn't the same defenseman in Vancouver.
Yeah.
And I heard he didn't want to go to Winnipeg, but he got a call from Paul Stastny, and Paul convinced him, who he knew from Vegas, and Paul convinced him, hey, we got something going here. You need to come here and be a part of it all. And then he went. I think he'll be a better defenseman. I think he'll be the same defenseman that we saw. And then the third element for Winnipeg, which is why I had him second on my list for the early winners, was they got Paul Stastny to stay in Winnipeg. I thought he was gone. I just felt, Paul would go to a team, in the U.S. and, I don't know. I just felt like he'd go to a different market. That Winnipeg wasn't him, but he didn't. He went back to Winnipeg, and I really like that that he did that. So
yeah, definitely, I agree. Definitely, yep.
So and then one other team that I thought really did well in early shopping was Detroit getting the goalie they needed, and adding Leddy.
And Stahl stand for another year too. I think that's a good leader.
They really like him, by the way. They just were so impressed with how hard he competed every game last year for a team that just wasn't very good. Yep. But, when they'd break down the video and they'd watch him every game, he showed up and was just working hard. Now,
and doing his job. Yep.
Yeah. He wasn't a perfect defenseman, but they just appreciated that, his effort was always there. There was 100%. He didn't take any games off.
Yeah. Apparently, he's really good in the locker room too. He's got a good sense of in the locker room.
The other reason why they think he's very good with the kids, and he wanted to be there. There's a lot to be said to having guys who, he said, what, I really like playing in Detroit. The idea of Detroit is it's sort of like playing in Canada because hockey is important in Detroit, but you don't have the sort of the media oppression that you get in Toronto or Montreal.
It's a great city to live in too. The downtown may be a little bit tough, but outside in the suburbs and everything, there's some beautiful places to live. Yeah,
for sure.
Well, what's going to happen with Suter and Parise?
Well, I think Suter is going to Dallas, and I would assume my best guess on Parise would be Lou and Long Island.
Is Suter definitely going to Dallas? Is that what you said?
Yeah, that's what I'm hearing.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
He wants a multi-year deal too. Leave it to Ryan Suter. Gets the buyout, and he basically wants fair market value. He wants a multiple-year contract, and I heard that they're going to give it to him. So
wow, interesting.
We'll see.
So is there
still playing at a high level?
What's that, sorry?
They're still playing at a high level too.
Yeah, totally. Is there a lot of interest in Parise?
I don't know. I think less so, obviously, than Suter, but I do think knowing Zach a little bit, I would think he'd want to go someplace that he feels comfortable, and I know he has great trust in Lou, and I think he thinks Lou has his best interest in heart. And
you still think Parise can play at a high level, do you?
Well, I don't think he's the same player he was. Let's put it this way. I think there's been a fall off in his play as opposed to Ryan Suter's. I mean, look, you're not going to be the same player at their ages as you were before, even Suter. But, Suter's still playing 22 minutes a game. Where Parise was in and out of the lineup, was in the coach's doghouse, Yeah.
And it's different for a defenseman as opposed to a forward too. A defenseman can be a guy that maybe loses a step, but he's smart out there, uses the angles well, moves the puck. So I think it is different when it's a defenseman. Yeah.
I've always been fascinated by that losing a step. When you were playing at the last couple of years, did you notice that did you feel like you lost a step?
Well, I had the bad back, and I didn't if I knew how to treat my back the way I know now, I mean, it wouldn't have been an issue. But yeah, I mean, But like I said, I think I lost a step more because of the back. But again, I was a smarter player too, just from experience. So I played the angles better. I didn't get myself in places where I was going to get in trouble, and so I don't think my play deteriorated at all. It was just more, not the blazing speed I had my first year. Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
So,
I'm sure you won.
Yeah. So we got a question here. I mean, just cover this off. I think Ron just got on, and I didn't understand this the first 2 hours. I forgot about it. But Seabrook's going to go on long-term IR, so that does not go against the cap for them. So,
yeah, and you can replace that. So that's always a an important issue when you got those guys you can put down on the bottom and free up their cap money. So,
yeah, definitely. Okay, what's going to happen to Dougie Hamilton?
Well, we know he's not going to go to Carolina. That's what we heard last night. They were still in it. And now the leading rumor is the New Jersey Devils.
Really?
So, wow. Tom Fitzgerald's done a good job there.
Yeah. Huh,
he really has. I think, he's in on things. He's trying to, he tried to get Suter, and, Suter didn't want to go there. But, he's in on all the big-time players. He's utilizing his cap space. I think he's been quite effective. I've been impressed by him.
What about the LA Kings, my other old team? They haven't done a whole lot, right?
No, but I think they're in on everything. Obviously, they kicked the tires on Eichel, and I think they thought the price was too high. Like, you got to give Adams credit. Like, he stuck to his guns. Like, the word around league is that he wants from Vegas Riley Smith, a first-round pick, Vic Haig, that big 6'6" defenseman, and Krebs.
For Eichel? Was that the Eichel trade?
Eichel, yeah. Oh. That's what he wants from him. So 4 first-round equivalents. So
I would do that.
Yeah.
I really have question marks on Eichel. Tom was the second fastest guy in the team. Everyone else was tied for first. No, Ron.
He's
feeling better. He's feeling better now.
Yeah, that's for sure. Sure.
So what do you think that people are thinking about Eichel out there? I mean, are they like, okay, we need to get this guy future star, or there's a question?
Well, I think people are all concerned about his injury, but you can't get see his medical reports until you give them an offer that they think is reasonable. Then you can look at him. So I think everyone needs to see that, and if they're satisfied with his medical reports, then I think they think they got something. He's been other than last season, which was a COVID year, and John Davidson. I remember interviewing him, probably about a month ago now, and he was saying, there was nothing normal about last year. So he said, I'm just dismissing everything that happened, just because it was such a strange year about when we started, how many games we played, what our worries were. And all that kind of stuff. So he's just going to discount all that.
What do you think? Diane wants to know what you think, what the Rangers have done so far.
So what have the Rangers done? Oh, we got to talk about D'Angelo too. So what have the Rangers done thus far?
They traded Pavel Buchnevich for Blaze.
I hated that trade.
You hated it?
So I just hated giving. Let me rephrase that. I hated giving up Buchnevich, and Blaze is a nice role player, but I think Buchnevich is more than that.
There's no question. I like the trade, but there's no question. You are definitely right. Buchnevich is a way better player than Blaze, but I still like the trade because they need to change the culture of the team here.
Yeah, and I'm for that, but can't you find somebody? I did love the signing for sure of Goodrow. I mean, that's the kind of guy you want to get. Now, what your argument is, now they got 2 of those guys now. They got Blaze and they've got him. And I don't mind that, but did you have to give up Buchnevich to get him? Was that the best deal you could make? Or did they think, well, he's going to want a lot of money. So,
and I think they've got so many guys like Buchnevich, like young kids coming up like Buchnevich in that same kind of category. And right now he's going to want too much money. And again, that culture change. So I think you're right. It was almost like I hate to say it this way, but they wanted to get rid of him. And and other teams are going to pick him up. We're going to have to pay that whatever he wants in the next contract too. So.
I guess what I would have preferred is trying to trade Buchnevich elsewhere and because I think you could have got more for him. I really do. And then use something else to try to get Blaze, what I prefer. Now, I'm not smarter than them, so maybe they tried that and couldn't make it work. But,
yeah, you would think they have. But again, I would think the future contract for Buchnevich is probably part of the problem, right? Other teams looking at it and say,
yeah, what do you think? $6 million for him?
Yeah, he'd been in that category. And he really, I think he's becoming a $6 million player, but he hasn't, obviously, like all young players, he hasn't been that $6 million player on a consistent basis. And that's probably part of the issue. They're saying he's going to want $6 million, but really is he a $6 million guy?
Yeah. Well, but I don't, yeah. But the bottom line is this. I don't think around the league, all the other GMs were saying, wow, those Rangers, they made a nice trade there. Getting Blaze,
Yeah.
No. But I don't disagree with you. I said before that I like the idea that they're going to change the culture and be harder to play against, because that's what you really are talking about with team toughness.
Yep.
And I thought they went and got the right guy from Tampa, to do that. So, although I didn't like, I want to get your thoughts too. I don't know why I don't like it, but I hate it when I hear people say, you didn't bring me here to score goals. When I score a goal, it's bonus. Like that just grinds me.
Why don't you like that?
It just because what it does is it's like sending the idea that don't expect me to score any goals. And actually, when I bring you in, I expect both. I expect you to play hard, to be hard to play against, and I expect you to contribute some goals. So I don't like to hear that. It's sort of it's like the opposite of a player. It's like the great Pierre LaRouche line saying, they pay me to score goals. If they want me to check too, they have to pay me another $350,000.
That's right. He said that in Montreal too.
So for a role player to come in and say, well, it's just bonus if I score goals, I'm here to check. Well, are you?
Well, they're setting the expectations, right? That
they are. They're lowering the expectations. They don't want fans to look at their numbers and say, "Oh, well, you had 1 goal, 6 assists, but you're hard to play against. Can't we find someone else to do that who might get 6 goals or 4 goals?" Like I said, it's just my
you don't like it, yeah, I get it. But that old saying, what's the old saying? Came in as a crusher, tried to be a rusher, soon became an usher.
Yeah.
That's the old saying. So, but I hear you. That's your thing.
Let me ask you, would you have said that? Would you have said, because you're the kind of player, you didn't get a lot of points, but you knew what your value is. Would you have said that? If I get a goal, it's a bonus.
Because a coach like Herb Brooks taught us, as a defenseman, if you're in the offensive zone, if you don't participate some way, you can't just stand there. You got to make it at least look like you're trying to score a goal. Otherwise, your 3 forwards are playing against 5 guys, and they're a defensive zone, right? So,
Speaking of that, along the way, starting out in the early '80s when I first started covering the entire league, and I got to know all the the movers and shakers. And one of my favorites was Harry Sinden. I loved talking to him because he always had something interesting to say. And he says, one time he said to me, he says, "Kevin, you know what I hate? I hate when the coach says, you can't blame the goalie. We gave up 3 breakaways." He says, "I hate when he says, because he said, I don't pay a goalie to make the easy saves. I pay a goalie to stop the breakaways. To when we, cave in, when everything goes to hell, our goalie back there is to save us. That's why we pay him the big dollars." So you don't say. And the other thing he hated was when a team said, "Well, they just had better goaltending." He'd say, "Isn't the goaltender part of your team?"
Sure.
So
Susan's on fire here. Fountain of knowledge. Buchnevich signed a 4-year deal. We were pretty close. 4-year, $23.2 million deal with St. Louis.
Yeah.
So that was actually a pretty good deal, right? But close to that.
Well, he got $5+ million, and like we sort of alluded to, that was part of the issue. That, they were maybe on paper overpaying, but they just saw it as, look, they didn't really want to pay him. And I think you're right on. It is fair to say that he hasn't been consistent enough, probably, to be considered, a top scorer yet. So
see, I think that's a smart contract for both sides. That must say that's good money. And the 4-year deal from St. Louis side, you're going to say, okay, we still need to see how good you are. So we're not giving you a 6 or 7 year deal. And then for the players' end, he said, okay, then I'll go prove how good I am for 4 years, and then hit the jackpot after that too. So
yeah.
So who are we missing here? Who's done what? Montreal. What's Montreal done?
Well, they've been in on everything. They've poked their head in on everything, but they haven't done much.
I
think the Florida Panthers made a trade that I think has fallen under the radar. They got Sam Reinhart for next to nothing, in my opinion.
That's right.
I thought he got a first round pick. That's going to be a late pick. I like that Florida team. I like it a lot. Right. And I think they're going to be one of the top teams in the league next year. So that's going to be a late pick for a guy like Reinhart, who has scored 20 or more goals in 5 times.
Right.
He's a pretty darn effective player.
Yeah, I like it. No, Florida's a lot better. Yeah. How about the Prime Minister of Canada coming out there against the Montreal Canadiens and criticizing for taking that kid in the first round? Yeah, I thought about that a lot since we talked about it. I'm still sitting there going, okay, I don't know why it's such a big deal. The kid he has no responsibilities to the team at all. All it is he's been drafted. He doesn't have to do anything. He's not signed a contract. He can get himself better. They can help him. If they really do seriously help him, then I don't see what the issue is really, but that's me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you don't care about the optics, and they do follow through. I mean, you could be right, but I don't know. It just comes down to, I mean, we're seeing that all these issues now that come out, like the Simone Biles situation now, where she just couldn't do it, and it was it's a mental issue for her.
Right.
But she's just so overwhelmed. And Phelps came on last night. I thought he was really, really sharp about it all, when saying, you got to have someone in your court to talk to who has no vested interest.
Yes. Yep.
So, and because it's okay if you're not on top of it mentally, but you got to be able to tell that to someone who's not going to judge you and analyze you and try to tell you how to get better.
You know what, Kev? That's a really interesting statement you just made there too. And you're repeating Phelps, but I have a friend of mine that's moved out to, I think he's in Vegas or someplace now, and that's what he does for a living. People come to him. He's not there as a therapist or anything. It's really people want to have somebody that they can trust, that they know that has their best interests at heart. He's not judging them. He's not going to talk about them behind their back, and they just come to him and talk about. He kind of is there for them to vet. It seems like a lot of people now, especially during the pandemic, really need that. They feel like they need to talk to somebody and have somebody there for them that is just they can trust totally. It stays with them. That's it. So I think that's interesting. Yeah.
And I think Osaka, the tennis player, kind of opened the door to all this.
Yeah.
By saying what she said. Look, the pressure. I just can't deal with the media all the time. I was watching the Golf Channel this morning, and gosh, I wish I could think of the guy's name, but he's a very good analyst, and he was talking about. And again, this is not Simone Biles' issue, but in conjunction with what was going on there, he pointed out that he advises young athletes to stay off of social media.
Yeah.
Like he just thinks that this plays such an incredible role in the added layer of pressure that they have, because he said, you can get a lot of positive feedback on social media, but it just takes one, because that's what you remember. And there was another analyst there. He said, I could say 100 wonderful things about you, but if the last thing I said to you is, your tie is ugly, you should never wear that on television, that's what you're going to remember. And he said, that's why he said, there's really no reason for you to go on social media. I get the whole branding thing, but hire someone to do your branding for you on social media, and just stay off of that and concentrate on your life and being a great athlete and not get involved in all that. And I think there's a lot of validity to that.
Yeah, and again, I want to be careful. I don't jump to conclusions with Biles there, but she was part of the who's the trainer.
Coach. Yeah, the doctor. The doctor. She was part of that as well, and she was very emotional and had a very articulate, speech about what she went through and all that. I'm sure that's playing a role into it. I mean, we can't possibly know, all that she goes through. And it's a bizarre life for her, because at least an athlete, when you're an athlete and you're in the NHL, there's just a consistent grind on social media that just becomes noise, I think. But with her, 6 months from now, she'll be relatively anonymous. Now, she'll still have some fame because she was the greatest in her sport. But, we won't see her. There's no professional gymnastics league as well. So some of it will diminish for her. Not all of it, but some of it will diminish. And that might be helpful to her. It doesn't, and I think that's how some athletes cope with it, is they just sort of view it as the noise of the background noise.
Yeah. And I think age and experience has a lot to do with that too. Like now, stuff doesn't bother me nearly as much, but I remember when I first started playing in Madison Square Garden, and the Garden's a fantastic place to play. But I've talked about this before. When you're a young player, man, the Garden, the Ranger fans love the Rangers. So they want them to be successful. And when they're not successful, not playing well, they're going to let you know at the Garden. That doesn't mean they don't like you. In fact, they love you. It's just that they're going to speak their mind. And sometimes at the Garden, if you're not playing well, in fact, one guy that, the building's quiet, and that one guy stands up and yells something about you, I mean, it really, really affects, like you want to crawl in a hole. I can imagine when you're online, when you're, it's all day long, or 24 hours a day, it's going on too. So, yes.
There's a great television show on, and I know you don't watch a lot of television, but it's called Ted Lasso. And he's an American football coach who ends up going over to England and coaches, their version of football, which is our soccer. And it's just funny, and it's poignant. It's emotional. It's just a really fine television show. But one of my favorite part of all that is he lives in right in the community that he's coaching in. And of course, they take their soccer very seriously. And, he goes to the local pubs, and he's developing friendships with all the people within the community, and they really like him. He's just a very, very, very nice man. But they still say to him, hey, it's good, it's good to see you, Ted. Everything's going well, and have a pint with us. And by the way, you suck as a coach. and they call him, and the guy comes and he shakes his hand and he goes, "You're a wanker as a coach." It goes on and on. And I thought that is such an apt description of the way things.
That's great. Eric was just talking about that too. That's good. Wanker. You're a wanker.
Yeah. Like, and it's really, it's really, as I said, sort of symbolic of what an athlete, kind of goes through as well. Where on one hand they want to be with him and shake his hand and get his autograph and do all that and be his friend, and then they want to just say, "Gosh, you suck," when you're not playing well. So.
That is the word. When people say you suck, that's bad. Hey, hold on real quick. Did you get your CMOS yet?
No, I did not, and will not.
You're not going to get CMOS?
I'm not going to.
I'm going to send you an article on CMOS of all the good things. I had my couple of tablespoons before the show. I'm feeling fantastic. Yep.
Yeah. And did you have your ginger this morning?
Ginger and turmeric. Yes, we had that. We pre-mixed it, put it in a little mason jars. I bought mason jars the other day too. That was a big step at Costco. They had mason jars, so I bought that. Making my own homemade almond milk now, so that goes in the mason jar.
You drink almond milk, eh?
Yes,
we have that. We have that in our house. Mason jars. Yeah, we got a cupboard full of those as well. So
that was a big step for me going to mason jars. So because I'm using the Tupperware all the time, so I was advised I need to go to glass instead. Big step.
Who advised you of that?
A friend of mine's a trainer. Saying I guess you get all the carcinogens or whatever it is from the plastic, so better in the mason jars. And actually, my ginger and turmeric mix stays better longer. It was getting a little film at the bottom of the Tupperware. That doesn't happen with the glass jar, so big step.
Film at the bottom of the Tupperware.
Yeah, you don't want that.
Yeah,
it's bad.
Yeah. Anyway, we appreciate everybody tuning in and joining us this week. We'll be back next week. If you want to read me, I'm available at hockeybuzz.com. Also, I write for DetroitHockeyNow.com as well. Tom?
And again, if you want to listen to the radio version of this show, you can go to radio.co at 365 Sports. Again, radio.co, go to 365 Sports. Have a great weekend, everybody. We'll see you on Monday.